go to school?
I go to school by car and motorbike.
How do you go home?
I go home by on bike.
By?
Bicycle.
Okay, good job. Please sit down there. How do you go to school?
I go to school by car.
How do you go home?
I go home
By.
by car.
Okay, great. Ben, how do you go to school?
I go to school by car.
How do you go home?
I go home on foot.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Ben, how do you go to school?
I go to school by car.
How do you go home?
I go home by car.
Okay.
Good. Mel, how do you go to school?
I go to school by helicopter.
Oh!
How do you go home?
I go home by
Boat.
Plane.
Plane! Oh my god.
Okay. John, how do you go to school? How do you go home?
Quiet. Quiet.
By
helicopter.
home. By
Car.
car. Thank you,
Okay.
John. Girl, how do you go to school?
I go to school by
How do you go home? Okay, thank you, girl. Lori, how do you go to school? How do you go home?
Sit properly.
Okay, Sophia, how do you go to school? How do you go home? I go by plane.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Really?
Kiwi, how do you go to school? How do you go home? Okay. Jennifer, how do you go to school? On. How do you go home? On. Okay.